everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Todd Chrisley's daughter dumped Chrisley last name, called it problematic. The Chrisley family has been making quite a few headlines in recent months, especially with Todd and Julie's recent presidential pardon. However, one member of the family is distancing themselves from the rest in one way. This even includes dropping the family name. The Chrisley surname became a household name thanks to USA Network's Chrisley Knows Best. Fans were introduced to the Chrisley family through the USA Network series, Chrisley Knows Best. On the series, the family was led by real estate tycoon Todd and his wife Julie. Todd and Julie have 3 children together: Chase, Savannah, and Grayson. In addition, Todd also has 2 children from a previous marriage: his daughter Lindsay and his son Kyle. As previously reported, fans have noticed that Lindsay was going by the last name Landsman on social media. At the time, some fans suspected she might have gotten married, as she seemingly took the last name from her boyfriend, David Landsman. Lindsay recently addressed the rumors during a recent episode of her podcast, The Southern Tea. During the conversation, Lindsay shared she was surprised by how many people even noticed the recent name change. Instead, Lindsay said that the change was intended as a quiet movement. Over the years, she has gone through different surnames, including Campbell, following her marriage to ex-Will Campbell. She went back to Chrisley before the recent change to Landsman. Lindsay denied that she benefited from her maiden name, even alleging the opposite. Lindsay shared, "For a long time, I very much battled with carrying my maiden last name. And with me carrying that last name came public association." She shared that she understood the name came with assumptions of all different kinds, weight that I truly feel like I never asked for. In particular, Lindsay disliked accusations of her benefiting from her last name. She shared, "I do think it's fair to say that contrary to what some people believe, the Chrisley last name, while it did start with reality show, Chrisley Knows Best, and we all collectively were doing that project together. Outside of that, that last name did not create income or opportunity for me." In fact, Lindsay shared she felt the opposite had occurred. As she shared, the family name became very problematic with me being associated in any capacity, in business, and has been problematic for projects that I have done post-Chrisley Knows Best. She even shared that the name cost her business opportunities. There were even a few times when she was advised to use another name. Lindsay also addressed marriage rumors during the podcast. As for using her boyfriend's name, Lindsay shared, "It truly was a decision that I made about reclaiming my peace and stepping into my future that is defined by love, growth over the past couple of years, and just forward movement." Lindsay also explained that she and David were not married. However, she felt, "I feel that it is fair to say that he and I built a safe and loving relationship that allows for stability in my life and in Jackson's life. And in this chapter, that name feels like home to me." She also assured she would have openly shared such news had she gotten married. Explaining the name change further, Lindsay shared, "It has nothing to do with erasing my past. It is all about choosing my future and protecting the people that I love most while doing so. And it felt like it was the right thing to do." Lindsay sat quietly at the kitchen counter, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing the edge of her coffee mug. The morning light spilled through the blinds, illuminating her new Georgia townhouse with a soft glow that felt oddly unfamiliar. She glanced down at the stack of papers in front of her, official name change documents. Her signature looked surreal under a name she hadn't used since high school, Lindsay Campbell. The phone buzzed. A text from her best friend popped up. "You sure you're ready for this?" Lindsay stared at the screen for a beat before replying. "More than ever." She had spent the last few months trying to shake the ever-present weight of her last name. Chrisley. Once it had opened doors. Reality TV, press events, podcast deals. But now it was a punchline, a burden, a badge of family dysfunction. Lindsay was tired of carrying it. When she first brought it up to her mom, there was silence on the other end of the phone. Finally, her mother exhaled. "I always thought you'd come back to Campbell eventually," she'd said softly. "You were always more grounded before all that madness started." That madness had a name, Todd. Lindsay remembered the early days of Chrisley Knows Best, how her father paraded their family around like a luxury brand, perfectly manicured, curated, and filtered. They weren't a family. They were a facade. Behind the scenes, things weren't glossy. They were chaotic, cold, and filled with control. Todd demanded loyalty, obedience, and an image to match his ego. When Lindsay eventually distanced herself, first from the show, then from the family, it wasn't a clean break. It was messy, painful, and public. Accusations flew. Alleged betrayals made headlines, and when her father went to prison, the media came knocking again. "Your family name is making headlines for all the wrong reasons," a podcast producer had told her last year. "Do you really want to keep riding that wave?" At first, she resisted. It was still her name. It was her son Jackson's name. But after a particularly tense school conference where a teacher whispered, "Is he from that Chrisley family?" Lindsay knew something had to change. She went public with a decision on her podcast, Coffee Convos. Her voice was calm, but her words were sharp. "I've legally changed my name back to Campbell," she said. "Because the truth is, the name Chrisley no longer represents who I am, or who I ever wanted to be. It's become problematic. It's associated with scandal, manipulation, and a legacy of public shame. And I refuse to let that define me any longer." The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded. Some fans applauded her bravery. "Good for you, girl. Cut the toxicity." Others accused her of betrayal, turning on your family when they're down. Wow. But perhaps the loudest silence came from Todd himself. From behind bars, there were whispers that he was livid. A fellow inmate allegedly overheard him ranting in the prison yard, shouting, "She's only relevant because of me. If she drops Chrisley, she's nobody." Lindsay wasn't surprised. That was his way. If he couldn't control the narrative, he'd discredit it. But she wasn't afraid of him anymore. Meanwhile, Savannah Chrisley, Todd's most vocal supporter, took to Instagram Live to air her thoughts. "I think it's sad," Savannah said, visibly annoyed. "We've all made mistakes. But to turn your back on your family name, especially when Dad is in prison fighting for justice, it's a slap in the face." Lindsay watched the clip once and rolled her eyes. Savannah had always played the loyal soldier, even when the castle was burning down around them. Lindsay had no interest in participating in the family's loyalty Olympics anymore. "I'm not changing my name to spite anyone," she later clarified on her podcast. "I'm changing it because I'm reclaiming myself. I want Jackson to grow up knowing that who we are isn't defined by a last name, or a reality show, or a federal prison sentence." Privately, the fallout hit harder. Julie Chrisley, still behind bars and awaiting a resentencing hearing, sent a short letter to Lindsay. It wasn't scolding. It wasn't manipulative. It was just sad. "Part of me always knew you'd go your own way," Julie wrote. "And even if I don't agree with everything you've done, I understand wanting to protect your child from the storm we caused." Lindsay kept that letter in a drawer. It was the only honest thing her stepmother had said to her in years. Now, standing in front of her mirror, Lindsay adjusted the blazer on her shoulders and said her name aloud. Lindsay Campbell. It sounded like closure, It sounded like freedom. No more baggage. No more headlines tying her worth to a family tree rooted in dysfunction. She wasn't running away. She was growing up. She grabbed her bag and headed out the door for a press interview, her first under her new name. As she walked past the mailbox, she noticed a letter tucked halfway inside.